Now, as you've been hearing throughout the event so far, TAPA EMEA is strongly committed to strengthening collaboration between industry and law enforcement and to continuously drive innovation in tackling cargo crime. And we can see this in practice in this year's programme. Yesterday, here at the Metronome, Europol hosted a dedicated workshop with law enforcement and industry partners focused on emerging threats such as fake carrier fraud. And this was building on the Europol conference on cargo crime in Barcelona last October. So this session brings that work onto the main stage for a discussion and to look at how law enforcement is responding to organised crime targeting supply chains and how industry can support that response. So to do that, please first welcome Jens Liedhegener, Head of Team at Europol, European Serious and Organised Crime Centre. Jens, please join us and over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam. So still people coming in. You will miss the best presentation of today, so you better rush. So I think it's the third time I'm speaking at the TAPA conference, and Thorsten is still inviting me. Thanks for that. So I think it was not too bad. But it's also like we really try to develop a little bit the cooperation between law enforcement and the private sector, because this is really crucial for, let's say, better investigation, also for better to protect the cargo which is in transit every day. So I have only 15 to 20 minutes, but what Sam said, we have organized last year together with TAPA and Amazon the first conference between the law enforcement and the private sector on the cargo crime topic in general. So I was bringing all the law enforcement experts looking into this topic, and Thorsten from the other side, the industry, and it was really an open discussion, really what is happening, what kind of trends do we see in cargo crime, what can we do on the private sector side. But you can still see there's a huge gap between law enforcement and the private sector. It's not easy to come very close because let's say law enforcement is looking into investigations, so we would like to arrest the bad guys, you would like to protect your supply chain, you would like to get your goods from A to B, and then of course we need the data from you, but police can't give any data to you. So this is a little bit how we need to work on how we can benefit from each other. Also we had yesterday, let's say, a second workshop, a short one on this topic, fake carrier fraud. I would like to speak about today, because we see more and more cases coming in about fake carrier fraud. So the thefts are still ongoing, but the fraud is also increasing, and we are more and more supporting cases of the member states. If you have never heard anything about Europol, so Europol, we are posted in The Hague. We are a law enforcement agency of the European Union. We have no investigation power, so we do not do any investigations, so we only support the member states to do their investigations. We have also not the power to task the member states to do any investigations. We can only show them there is something going on. We can try to motivate them. We can try to bring experts, investigators together to look into international crime. So I used a little bit this topic like as a movie, season 1, the dream of a secure transportation. So I really like to work with these kind of pictures. So you have a sending company, a producing company, the company, we live in the Netherlands producing bicycles. Then you need someone for transportation. And of course, this company is busy and is looking for someone else. So they go to this marketplace where they look for a subcontracting company. They find someone who is available. They will pick up the cargo and will transport it to the place of delivery. So this is how it's happening every day, very successful every day. So this is what this is. Let's say, of course, if there is something happening good, there's also something happening very bad. So this is where the security breaks down. It's the same thing. You want to transport something from A to B, same situation, marketplace. And then the fake carrier kicks in. He's using the cyber environment in different ways. And then we have identified 2 main modus operandi. So there are some more different ways how maybe they contact directly the company, they don't use the platform, but on the platform, they send their own drivers, so they have their own trucks, they send it to the selling company, they pick the cargo up, and then they will send it maybe drive it to the stash house, or they will give it directly to the one who is giving it to the black market. The second thing is they use the marketplace again to subcontract a bona fide company. So you have a real transport company who is picking up the cargo, and then normally when the driver is on his way to the receiving company, he's getting a phone call, new address, new place where they should deliver the goods, and then of course will end up in the same stash house or a different one or similar one. So this looks very complicated. So if you're an investigator in the police, it's already a lot of things happening here, a lot of actors involved. But the main issue is countries involved. Yeah, you see, maybe the sending companies in France, the cargo expected in Spain, the driver, the normal company, maybe from Austria. Fake carrier, sorry. Next time I will choose a different flag, or a phony one. I create one myself. So then the platform maybe is in Germany, stash house. I'm sorry again, Romania, but I wanted to make it realistic as possible. Yeah. And then maybe you have a subcontractor, a company outside of the European Union, which makes it more complicated in the cooperation. So this is what the police is facing when they have to investigate this crime. Then, second thing, what is really complicated is who is the victim? Who is facing the losses? So who has to pay? So the insurance company, more or less, they have to pay, but who will ask the insurance company to pay? So maybe this is the company in Spain. They are responsible. They have to ask for the compensation. So maybe they will go to the police. But the Spanish police is not in charge because the crime happened in France. So you have to send someone to France. And then maybe France will say, but the platform is hosted in Germany, so maybe the German police is interested to investigate. So you can now guess yourself what will happen. Nothing. So it's very complicated for the police really to investigate this type of crime. And this is the reason why the criminals use it. It's much easier, instead of going in the night on the parking slot, cutting the tarpaulin, and steal all the stuff. It's much easier. You get everything delivered on the place you would choose yourself. So when we look into the fake area, so first of all, what we see is they use a legit already existing company. So they have a history of successful transport, so successful transport history. So you can pretend to be, I'm a legit company, it's a bankrupt company or very close to close. So they take it over. They have already access to these platforms. So they can use this one for weeks in different countries and steal a lot of your items. Second thing is, when it comes to more cybercrime related topic, so it could be a mailbox company, so a phony company, not existing one, producing all the needed documents. They will have all the papers. They can register on the platform. Or there's these phishing activities or cybercrime. They send an email to you. You click the wrong button. They get all the information, and then they'll use your company, maybe then with a very, very difference in the email address to contact to get let's say the order, the task to pick up the cargo. So secondly, this is what we have heard also in the conference today. It's not random people. It's organized crime groups, very, very experienced in this type of crime. If you arrest someone and you check someone, a lot of them have been active for more than 10 years already in this type of crime. Arrested, imprisonment, 2 years, again. So this is the normal business. Then they need cybercrime abilities. So it's like you need someone who can do this phishing, creating new email accounts, ID spoofing. So it's not new ID spoofing, it's already used in different fraud offenses. Then they know about how logistics works. So maybe they used to work for a transport company, they used to work in the company, so they have the full knowledge, insider, like they know on Monday you transport the iPhones, on Thursday you transport this, so they know exactly on Monday we have to go for this delivery. And then of course it's very small, I barely can read it here. Yeah, this is also interesting. They all have a financial investment, so they invest upfront and they need to steal something. This is not like, oh, we're not successful, let's go on holidays, let's do the weekend. No, no, no. They have to. If they're not successful Monday, they will be successful Tuesday or Wednesday. So they really will go on, go on, go on, go on. And it's also like if you steal that huge amount of items, it's not like, oh, shit, now I have the items, what should I do with them? They have already someone up front who will take it. So it will immediately go abroad. So if they steal it in country A, it will maybe go to country B, and then it's distributed all over the world. And maybe you can buy these phones everywhere when they've stolen it. So let's say when we speak about the law enforcement challenges, I mentioned already a few. It's, let's say what I said, the international context. What I described before, so a lot of countries involved, who's in charge, who will take over, who is really in charge to lead the investigation. Then also crime area. Maybe you say, well, what about a crime area? So it could be a theft, it could be an embezzlement, it could be fraud, it could be cybercrime. It's 4 different police units could be in charge. So there's already like a pushing from A to B. No, it's your case. No, 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 it's more like this. So it's within the police, very confusing situation. Even in Europol, the fraud offenses is normally handled by a different team in a different department in Europol. It's fraud. So, but we took over everything about cargo crime because it's same groups. Theft, fraud, doesn't matter. So it should be in one hand. But the police still, I know also from Germany, still struggling who is in charge of this type of crime. Same for the prosecution offices, which type of crime, in which country is really, in which country really the crime has happened. And then also we only see very, how we say, quick and dirty investigations. You arrest the driver, you're very happy, you can present, case is solved, it's not solved, it's just the driver, yeah? There are hundreds of drivers, thousands of drivers available every day. And you have to look into the whole network. Otherwise, if you don't take out the whole network, and you have to look into fencing network, so what is happening, but the police stops normally when they arrested the driver, maybe a little bit further, and then that's it. So then the core group exists and can continue the criminal activity. So now it comes, of course, to the private sector responsibility. Of course, there is a responsibility in the private sector. You cannot say, oh, we have a problem now, so police solve the problem. It's never possible. Because there is a lot of prevention needed all the time. So if we see peaks, we had a very high peak in burglaries, domestic burglaries, 2014, 15, really huge amount of cases, and then it reached a political level, and then a lot of pressure, of course, on the police. So then this was not only investigation into criminal networks, but a lot of prevention. Yeah, so protect your house, and then you could immediately see the numbers will go down. It's not only because on the police, but also on private initiatives. So this is also then for what we see for the private sector responsibility. We have heard today, trusted partners, risk management with subcontractors. Yesterday I heard, but we have no possibility if we contract a company and they subcontract, subcontract. Yeah, but you can make a contract, yeah? How they can subcontract, how they have to check it. Maybe you would like to check yourself, so you have to be active to prevent this type of crime. Cybersecurity, I will explain on the next slide. Also train your staff, what we heard today, you have to train your staff, how they can identify these emails, what is happening, this is not normal. Yeah? So if let's say this example, there is a pickup agreed of the new model iPhone at the airport X, so I will not mention any airport, and then you receive an email, oh, we will come 1 hour earlier, and there's a different driver and a different license plate, the alarm should go on normally. Yeah? You have to double check if something is happening, but maybe the person is such under pressure, okay, good luck, type in the new license plate, and everything is gone. So this is really train your staff. Also, I will also explain in a few minutes, a centralized database is really needed, and then also the private partnership police cooperation. So the police needs a lot of information to start this investigation. It's only maybe, I don't know, you go to the police just to get the file number to give it to your insurance company, it will not have. You really have to present in detail what happened, IP addresses, names, license plate, CCTV pictures. The better the information, the better is the chance that the police will jump on your case. If this is your report, no one will jump on it. The police is very busy, so the priorities have changed a lot. Everybody's looking into drugs, of course. We have crime as a service, violence as a service, youngsters, 14 years old, contracted via social media to travel from Sweden to Denmark to shoot someone. Now you can guess on what the police will focus. So they will focus on the violence part and not on the cargo crime. So you really have to present comprehensive reports about what has happened, and then to find and to hand over to the police in charge, and also to follow up. So I have only 5 minutes left. So this is, I asked ChatGPT to make this nice picture for me, but it says everything. So if you implement an AI tool, there are AI tools available on the market into your email system. You train the model with what is happening, you train the model, and then the model the AI will show you, oh, check this email. This is not normal. This is, because if you see an email address and they just change one letter, you will not spot it, but the system will spot it immediately. Say, this is a different email address, different name, this is differently written than the email before. And then the email will also, the program will also show you, don't call the number in this email, call the number from the first email to find out, because they will send you a number you can call you. So everything is available to protect or to help also your staff with the workload and the pressure. So this is the last thing I would like to speak about. Is we were thinking about what would help law enforcement, but also the private sector to be more secure in the supply chain. So what we heard is, if you look into fake carrier, they can use sometimes the company for weeks, because you go to different countries, the police is very slow, let's say, and then, of course, no one will really recognize you. So you can use the company, but at some point you will say, okay, now we cut it, we need a new one. So, but if you have a database where the private sector can report the information, and at the same time, if needed, law enforcement can have a look what is really happening, can also see the information, maybe also Europol can see the information. You can check yourself, and if you have not only a database, if you have also a team there working on this topic, like, okay, what is coming in? You can use an AI model, again, identify pictures, used vehicles, persons, this and that. You can send out warnings, and then you receive a lot of information. This email address is used, this company is used, bam, 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 bam. Because you all have the information. If you have a huge company, you have this information available. And then from my point of view, this would be a really benefit for everybody. But the question is, who will do it? So it cannot be law enforcement, because law enforcement cannot give any information back to the private sector, but maybe there are some solutions. And also then you have to look into data protection regulation, blah, 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 these kind of things. But from my point of view, this would really, really help a lot to prevent fraud, because this helped already in other type of crime, and maybe this can also help in cargo crime. So this is what we discussed about yesterday. So maybe there was also the question, so what is next? So we need to see, I will speak to Thorsten, what is possible, what can we do together, how can we help maybe to set up this kind of database. Can it be by TAPA, someone else? You know, there are a lot of companies here, yeah? They all exist because of the risk in the supply chain. If the supply chain would be safe, there would be no video from Securitas, yeah? Because there's nothing, maybe not even a meeting. So also, someone is benefiting out of crime, but also the company. So it's just an idea. It was also said, ChatGPT, so make this for me. I explained a little bit what I'm looking for, and this is a very, very nice example how this can be implemented and then used from both sides. So this is everything from my side, and I will hand over back to Sam. Thank you very much.
Jens, thank you so much. Thank you for that presentation. We'd like to bring in 2 participants from yesterday as well to participate in this Q&A with us. So I'd like to introduce Jim Taylor again from Opel and Andrea Pascal from Italy State Police. Do both join us on the stage. Thank you.
Yeah, but he will not hit me.
Excellent. Right. So, what is this? Thorsten, are you in there?
Wait a minute. No police session with the real police.
I have no idea how you got into that or how you got out of that. Torsten, good to have you here too. So I was giving a brief explanation at the start of this session as to how this workshop came about, but perhaps you could expand a little bit on that, and say why it came about, why it's so important, and what it signifies for the future.
Yeah, first of all, it's always important to have a good relationship with the police when you have a wife with a sports car. So it's always good to know, the police guys. No, just kidding. For us, as the private industry, it's super important to work together with the police forces. And what is for us most important is we fully understand that, of course, the police cannot provide us what we can provide to them because of all the regulations, data privacy, they're under the regulations of ministries and so on and so on. But what we always say is, we are super happy to give and we are not expecting anything. When you can give us something, of course, we are also happy. When you cannot, we fully understand that. And I'm already in contact with Europol for at least 15 years. It was Michael before, then, it was Jens. And Jens myself always trying to really squeeze Europol and tell them how important it is. And we started, in Barcelona, and it was an amazing success. And then it's great to really meet people, from Italy, from UK, from Spain, and really listen to them. And what we can provide them, so that's also quite important. TAPA is giving all police agencies, police officers, free access to TIS. We give them free access to our training tools, because we also strongly believe, that when we can give something as the industry, we always create a partnership and win-win situation.
Thank you, Torsten. Jens, from Europol's perspective, how has the fake carrier fraud threat evolved in recent years? And why is it becoming such a significant issue across Europe?
Yeah, so, but let's say, when we receive information, we receive information from the member states, and we see more and more contributions coming in about fake carrier fraud. It's also now the member states see there is an increasing issue about this topic. But why is it happening? There is something weak in the supply chain. So it's like with the Frankfurt airport. They spot there is a weak spot, and they immediately jump into this one. And as long as it works, they will continue. If you close the gap, it will stop. So we need to find a way how we can really close the gap in this supply chain, and then you will see the numbers will drop.
And you highlighted the importance of cooperation between law enforcement and the private sector. In practical terms, what kind of information sharing would be most valuable for investigations and prevention?
So this is what I mentioned before in my presentation. If you have an incident, to report as detailed as possible. And when it comes to, let's say, to an international investigation, so we have some cargo crime investigations ongoing at the moment at Europol with the member states. And then we need the engagement of the private sector. So if you are the targeted company, then we need a lot of commitment also from your side. And we had a case in the past, and then the company was saying, yeah, but it's just before Christmas. So it's high season for us. Then, yeah, okay, then we can wait with the investigation when your high season is over. Or you provide the information we really needed for the investigation. And then we found a way that they can really easily exchange what the law enforcement needed. And then it was successful in the end with the rest of the suspects.
And Torsten, how can TAPA help with this, and what more can TAPA EMEA members do? And also, I know you touched on this a little bit before, if you want to expand, is there anything else that TAPA needs from Europol?
I think, first of all, what TAPA is really providing is really also the networking. So sometimes it's really difficult for the police forces to find the right contact within a specific company. Just to give you an example, let's say there's an incident with Sony or Samsung or Apple, whatever the name is, it doesn't matter. When a police guy is trying to find the right contact, it's very difficult. So they connect to us, and we give them immediately who's the CSO or the CISO or who's the head of security. So that's really what we are doing. And vice versa, by the way. So we are sometimes contacting the police, and we say we have a case, and then I'm contacting, like the Italian police in Milano, but I have a question on, like in Naples or whatever, and then they link me to the right police station and immediately to the right contact. So Jens gave me always the best contacts in the police forces that I do not need to dial 110 or 911 or whatever.
Andrea, let me bring you in. What are the main challenges law enforcement faces when investigating fake carrier fraud cases, especially if they involve multiple countries and jurisdictions? Should be on.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much to TAPA and Europol. It's a pleasure and an honor for us to be here. My name is Andrea Pascale. I am a Deputy Superintendent of the Italian State Police. Our office is in Bologna. We are in the Motor Valley. We are very close to the major car companies, and we have direct contact with them. Just to make a brief presentation. Well, recently we are facing many cases, and particularly we're talking about cargo crime, which, as I saw over here, all companies are doing a fantastic job, and but you must know that the criminals, they act and they react to all the countermeasures you guys take. So they are very good at this, and the major problems that we are facing is actually, let's say that I think that there's a missing actor here in this room, which is the political actors. So you guys are doing the great job. I think I can speak on behalf also to the colleagues that we spoke here, Europol, everybody. We're all doing our jobs, but it's cargo crime is still considered a minor felony. And that makes, it's not a top topic. We faced a big investigation with a criminal crime group that, let's say, we were able after months to identify them. We have pictures, we have DNA, we have everything, and but we were not able to convict them because it's still a minor felony. Talking about finally, Europol came in, so we have the contacts with other countries here in Europol. We have been together in Barcelona. We exchange our information, and that is very important because we see that these criminals, they move from country. Last week they were in Germany, and we were at Europol, and we were able to speak to our German colleagues. We know that they were in Germany. Now they're back in Italy. So they just go like gypsies because actually, they are gypsies. They go around. They come from Romania. Once again, I'm sorry for our friends. We know that they're all Romanian. We know where they come from. We know the city because they told us. They are all linked together. They are all relatives or friends. And
they're all papas. Oh, no.
And we actually need the best thing, as Thorsten said, we had another criminal investigation going on. We need contacts. I needed to speak to the head of security of a big carrier. I wrote an email to Thorsten, and not even an hour later, I was speaking to the head of security in Denmark for something that happened in Italy. So I think that we're all doing our part here, and thanks to TAPA, to Europol, we're doing our best, but that's not enough.
Thank you, Andrea. Jim, let me bring you in. In your view, what can transport and logistics companies do better to reduce their vulnerability to fake carrier fraud and phantom freight schemes?
Yeah, that's a real tricky one because, as already been mentioned, what you'll find with organised crime groups is that they adapt immediately. So as soon as you find the solution to the problem, they'll adapt and overcome and continue. I think companies need to invest heavily in IT security and understanding, when they are being subject to an attack or at least an exercise to try and divert or at least employ a fake carrier. I think information sharing is going to be key. So, labour the point about what we're doing in Opel now. A lot of companies, and I'm not going to name any names, but I've had some really good conversations while I've been here, and there is a real reticence to share information, number one. Secondly, share best practice, because they, understandably, some companies want to retain that ability to look after their loads because it gives them a commercial advantage, and totally understand that. But actually, from a collective point of view, should we not all share best practice and prevent the crime in its totality rather than prevent the attack on you as a business? So for me, it's not just about the singular view of how do we prevent, fake carrier frauds. It's about sharing best practice to protect the industry. And it goes deeper than just sharing information. It needs to be collaborative. It needs to be partners with both law enforcement, security companies, tech companies, physical security companies. It's a lot wider than just how do we solve the problem.
Torsten, do you want to respond to that very quickly? I know this is something we're going to be touching on in our next session.
Yeah,
Carrier fraud.
I think what is always quite important is really, we are always here and open to support. And when you look also at all our data, at sharing data and all our capabilities and functions, and I said yesterday to you, wait for the TIS session. And I'm pretty sure the police will be also really happily surprised, and really see what we can do with TIS and all our data. For me, it's always important, what we heard already, that we are here really to connect. And that's the most important thing. And I'm specifically proud always when Jens is coming to me, or, the Lamborghini driving police stations in Italy are coming to me and saying, I need a contact in this company. And I say, yeah, no problem. Call this guy. Here's the mobile phone number. And they pick up, and I give them, of course, I give them a warning and say, you receive a call from the police. And they are super happy to support, because everybody would like to fix it. There's one point which is super important, what I said already yesterday. When we talk about criminals, they're always one step ahead. Always. Because they are not restricted like all of us here. Especially, in the private industry, we can already do more things than the police. If you look at the police, they have even more restrictions at the end of the day. But if you look at the criminals,
no limitations.
Unlimited. No limitations. No rules, no ethics, no politics, and I'm sorry for my French, no bullshit. Clear business, that's all. And what we also heard, cargo crime is not a sexy crime. It's not in the politics. It's not on the ministry level. As you can imagine, for a politician, when there's a terrorist attack or there's a bank robbery in the city center, this is big in the news. Whilst when there's a truck robbery, nobody cares.
Thank you, Torsten. And maybe just in our last minute of the session, I could just wrap up with you, Jens. If you could define 1 or 2 concrete recommendations coming out of this workshop, what would Europol like to see implemented at European level?
So for me, it's first of all private sector responsibility, really train your staff, this AI tool to help you to identify frontally emails, and then also from the law enforcement side to get more information. The more information we get from Europol, the better is the picture and the better we really connect the investigations, because this is what we also do. We link small patterns together, and then we see, okay, Italy, Germany, Romania, you have a joint case, and then we will bring them to Europol. This is, if we see this, then we are better than before.
Jens, Jim, Andrea, thank you all so much for joining us. Torsten, I know you're going to stay for our next session, but please join us in thanking all of our panelists and Jens for his presentation.
Thanks.